Good evening and welcome to Sakshi Money Mantra weekly wrap up. Nenu Karunya Rao, and like every week, ప్రతి వారం మేము మీకు ఒక ఫ్రెష్ మార్కెట్ పర్స్పెక్టివ్ తెస్తాం, ఒక ఫ్రెష్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్ తో మిమ్మల్ని మాట్లాడిస్తాం, వాళ్ళ వ్యూస్ తీసుకుంటాం, పెట్టుబడులు ఎలా పెట్టాలి, మీ స్ట్రాటజీ ఎలా ఉండాలి, ఏ స్టాక్స్ ఎక్కువ అట్రాక్టివ్ గా ఉన్నాయి, ఇవన్నీ ఇవాళ మేము మాట్లాడతాం. మా గెస్ట్ ఫర్ ద డే రాజా వెంకట్రామన్ ఫ్రమ్ NeoTrader. So Raja, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Karunya, to the show.
It's been a very volatile week and, largely negative, I would say. So, what do you think? Will this weakness in Nifty and in the benchmark indices, both of them, will it continue or will we probably reclaim 20,000 in no time again and recover all the lost ground?
First of all, the overall market seems to have witnessed a sudden shock as far as the prices are concerned. And all of us last Friday, if we had spoken, all of us were cheerfully happy. But then 1 week down the road, market has corrected almost 800 points from the highs.
Yeah.
So now the most important thing to see here is that the India VIX continues to be it's not changed much. It's on the lower side, and the thing is that even after such a sharp gap down, we have not noticed much of change in that. So that indicates that yes, the market is not overly worried at the moment, and we could expect a rally to occur. A glimpse of that we saw today, where market gave a surprise rally of more than 100 plus points from the lows. So that clearly indicates that lower levels are being bought into. So now, with that being the case, one should always be looking to buy the lower levels on dips. Based on my time cycle studies, I feel that the market could witness a rally in the upcoming week. So one should look lower levels to buy into. So now, if you would ask me what are the lower levels one should consider, like you rightly said, 19,600, 19,500 offers us a good support buy opportunity. So as long as those levels are held, one should continue to believe that there is an upside very much on the cards, and probability of 20,000 exceeding is very much there. So now I spoke to you about the lower levels. On the upside, we would definitely be looking at 20,000 and 20,200 as the immediate targets. Now, if the strength persists and if it were to move ahead, then we could also see an upward trajectory towards 20,600. But then for that to occur, we need some strong factors to kick in. But at the current juncture, the overall markets, yes, the decline seems to be getting priced in. So maybe we'll have a day of decline more, and you would have some interim relief rally, but then lower levels are being bought into. Now, when you shift the focus to Bank Nifty, what we see there is that there are some strong call writing happening at lower levels. So lower levels around 44,500 is going to be defended. So 44,500, 44,300 would look to be the supports for Bank Nifty. And on the upside for Bank Nifty to really make a case, because Bank Nifty has not been as positive as Nifty. So index players should look at 45,500 and 45,800. And if 45,000 to exceed first, and then targets are emerging around 45,500 and 45,800.
In fact, I was going to come to Bank Nifty because banking stocks have been underperforming, and even benchmarks, actually we saw a phenomenal rally, but net if we look at where we were last month or one and a half months ago, we are almost back at those same levels. So let's talk banking. Within the banking index, do you think it's still PSU banks that look more favorable on the charts, or is it private lenders also which could perhaps make a comeback?
Definitely. From what I have seen so far, the PSU banks are definitely very, very promising, and they are overshooting the expectations and also outperforming the private peers as well. So at the current juncture, it looks like PSU banks are taking over. And when I did a comparative analysis, I found that they are able to outperform even HDFC Bank. HDFC Bank was touted as one of the rather the major bank as far as the FIs are concerned. But now after the merger, there seems to be a shift in perspective, and what we are seeing is that people, the FIs and the high net worth investors are looking for other avenues, and maybe now they are favoring PSU banks, and this rally could sustain. And
Hmm.
the reason why Bank Nifty is actually staging some bit of revival is probably because of the PSU banks, and we can see that even today PSU banks were up right from the start. So yes, PSU
Yeah.
bank, the move which if one feels is over, I would say it's not. Use dips to buy into, and PSU banks like Canara Bank, SBI, Bank of Baroda are some banks which active traders can look forward to and participate.
Interestingly, when the markets were rallying a couple of months back, we saw the broader markets outperform. But when now we're seeing a bit of a selling happening in the market, the broader markets are still relatively looking better, because this selling that we've seen in the last 3-4 sessions primarily has been led by heavyweights. So, what is
Right.
the view here? If one wants to bottom fish, or if one wants to buy at lower levels, one should focus more on heavyweights, perhaps vis-a-vis mid and small caps?
Yeah, see, the mid and small caps, when such events happen, right? A majority of the positions are taken in the FNO, and the mid and small caps selling is used to fund the margin requirements.
Hmm.
So, having said that, now when you are looking at which sector to focus into, the large caps continue to remain a little benign compared to the mid and small caps. So healthy mid and small caps which have done well, and if they have received a pullback, especially in hot sectors in the last few months have been defense, even the pharma space. So one should not overlook these names, and you should look at mid and small cap names as well, because
Hmm.
based on the next result season which will be coming up within the next 2 to 3 weeks, you will see those names once again in action. So again, we are going to enter into a stock specific zone. So overall market is definitely on the bullish side. These
Hmm.
interim phases where you are expecting or you're witnessing a correction are some corrections which need to be bought into. That's my opinion at the moment.
Okay. Since we just spoke about banking and financial names and large caps particularly, there's a query that I want you to address. This is from Arsh, and he wants to know your view on Bajaj Finance. Now, in the last 1 month, Bajaj Finance has done well, almost 650 rupees upside. It's already seen. So, do you think now is a good time to buy it, since it's still around, for 500 bucks off its 52-week high? Is it a good time to enter now, or should they wait for a further cool off to happen?
Yeah, Bajaj Finance, it's advisable to look at lower levels towards 7,300 to buy into, because at the current juncture, it doesn't look to be a very exciting bet. So maybe 100, 200 points lower would also actually go towards a good support region, and that could be a good area to consider Bajaj Finance.
Okay, all right. I want to move right on and shift gears. Why I say shift gears is because I want to talk about auto companies and auto index as well. Now, auto index was very quiet all this time, but last couple of weeks we saw it, trying to make a comeback. But again, the overall market mood was ruptured this time this week, and again, auto names started witnessing some profit taking. So, overall, what is the indication that the index is giving us? And especially the auto heavyweights, the likes of Mahindra, Hero Motocorp, Bajaj, which have done well, especially Bajaj and Mahindra. What is the way forward for these kind of names?
So the auto index was the one which led a very sharp move over the entire year. So the entire year has
Hmm.
been, you can say, dedicated to this auto index, which really led from the front much in advance. So
Yeah.
now, if you take a look at the big auto names, yes, they are going to witness some correction. But is the time now for exiting it? Answer is no. So use the dips and continue to stay invested. some names like M&M, Tata Motors, they still continue to attract attention. And now in the next week, you'll also have the auto numbers coming in. So ahead of that, you will see some uptick. You'll also have the festive demand projections
Hmm.
coming in. So that will also add to the overall momentum. So collectively, I feel that auto is a space that is going to continue, and from the kind of bookings which we are observing and which we are hearing down the street, I do see that the auto companies are going to have a next good 2 to 3 years, because the consumption space is also picking up and the overall demand is also there as far as
Hmm.
the autos are concerned. So India seems to be a good bet for auto companies, and with the kind of new releases which are being introduced, and the kind of salary bracket also which is there now in India, the auto companies are definitely going to have a good run in the next 2 to 3 years. So every dip should be used to buy into, and all the notable names are definitely performing. And amongst them, I would pick M&M, Tata Motors, and Hero Motocorp is a dark
Hmm.
horse which I am laying my bet on.
Okay, since we're talking about festive season, auto of course is a big beneficiary of that, but so is FMCG and consumer durables, white good companies. So talk to us about FMCG names particularly. What is your sense there? Because even they have been pretty quiet.
Yeah, what I observed in FMCG is that FMCG also had a similar run in line with the auto. And but now what I find is that after a sharp run to the upside, the FMCG companies have slipped into some bit of consolidation, and
Hmm.
the sector itself is not showing any particular kind of reaction at the moment over the last 1.5 months. So I would wait for the next few weeks to set in the pace, and the later half of the year, the ending of the calendar year, would
Hmm.
definitely be a good scenario for the FMCG, considering the festive nature of the Indian economy, that could bring in some uptick in the FMCG space. So good levels to buy into right now, because FMCG has come into a very good support section.
Specifically, I want you to address ITC. I have a question coming in from Rahman. He wants your view on ITC. And even Indian hotels. I think not just FMCG, but he's also interested in the hospitality business. So ITC is, of course, part of both. So ITC, I'm looking at it, has been fairly range bound last 1 month. Indian hotels as well, if you could address along with ITC and tell us which one looks better.
So, as far as we are concerned, ITC does not merit any entry now. And like you rightly said, it is undergoing a range bound scenario. Yes,
Hmm.
Indian Hotels did show a good move post its numbers in the last quarter. But what has happened is, now, after its sharp run up to the upside, it has witnessed a sizable reaction. So now
Yeah.
Indian Hotel has come into some decent set of supports around 400 levels, and that's a good area to enter into Indian Hotels, because the probability of its high being exceeded is very much on the cards. So between Indian Hotel and ITC, I would prefer Indian Hotels.
Okay, thanks for that. You were saying that this year's rally is attributed to auto index, but I would also like to mention pharma, because what a rally pharma space has also seen.
Right.
As an index and also individual stocks, some of them have gained quite a bit. So, what is your view on the pharma space? I'm sure. I mean, the strengthening of dollar clearly has augured very well for pharma players, which have good international exposure, especially to US markets. But on the technical side, if we look at it, is there more steam left in this space?
Yeah, pharma is definitely a very good space, and what I feel is that after being lying in the background for a very long time, it has now stepped up into the forefront. And especially this year, if you would see the likes of Oro Pharma, Dr. Reddy, Glenmark, Lupin, all of them have performed quite well, and they continue to show good prospects of heading higher. Now, when you consider that, yes, will the pharma continue to prosper? Answer is yes, and it is now it is again once again reinstated itself as a good defensive play when the markets are a little confused. And I'm sure that one should not ignore pharma, and one should continue to look at pharma space, because in the next few weeks, I feel that after markets after the result season begin may slip into some consolidation, and that's where a stock specific action could emerge. And pharma definitely should be one sector on your radar in the next month.
Okay. In fact, one of our viewers also sent us a question. This is from Sachin. He wants your long-term view on Panacea Biotech. What do you think there? I mean, last 1 month, very good gains, almost 13-14% upside. But can that run rate sustain?
Yeah, yes, your question is very apt. The movement has been quite swift. And what one should expect here is some profit booking to emerge that could take the prices towards the region of around 145. Now, the overall momentum seems positive, and even on the higher time frame, the stock seems encouraging. So, use dips to buy into, do not add at the current levels.
Okay. One more quick query before we take your concluding statements, Raja. CMS Infosystems, our viewer Nikhil is asking us a question on what your view is on CMS. What do you think? Very, very, again, range bound and flattish last 1 month.
Yeah, right. So, looking at the way the market has moved, it's either the indices or the stocks. So, right now, what has happened is that after the recent reaction, though mid caps and the small caps will invite limited attention because of the sudden change in the sentiment. So, the sentiment is shaken definitely, but overall prospect seems to be bullish for this stock. So I would say that as long as 340 levels is not given up on the downside, I would continue to retain a bullish scenario at in this counter. If you have additional capital, and if it starts recovering above 360 levels, I would look to buy it with a stop at 340.
Okay, great. And just one quick question before we let you go. You started the conversation by saying that this is a good time to buy at lower levels. So, any favorites or any interesting ideas that you've identified in the current market, which one could place their bets on?
Yeah, if you're looking to trade the next week, I would look to place my bet on TVS Motors and Tata Communication. These are two stocks which have done well. They have slipped into some bit of consolidation. They are finding some good support at lower levels. So I would look to trade these stocks for the coming week.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your observations of the market levels, and the technicals of so many stocks and queries with us today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.